Chiara. Our readers at Golf News obviously read a lot about you, but we never actually sat down and had a little chat. Why don't you briefly just talk to us about how you came to live in Dubai?
Yeah, I've lived, well, I don't want to say a lot of places, but I've lived pretty internationally at this point. I started playing golf when I was 3. I was born in Germany and then moved to England when I was 7. And I started really getting into golf and playing amateur championships and traveling and really getting into things. But one of the main things I always really struggled with was weather and just time to practice and getting that balance right. And we were thinking of relocating just because, you know, my school finished at 4:30 and it was dark at like 4. So it was range practice basically for half of the year, which was really difficult to handle. So we were looking at relocating and, you know, we stumbled across Dubai and yeah, we haven't really looked back since. It's been perfect here and the weather is always nice unless it rains that one time a year where you're all super shocked, but it's been perfect here and we've not really looked back since.
You moved out here and then I guess COVID hit. You started playing the LET Access Series in 2021 and then you turned pro. How was that transition, I guess, and all that little part of your golfing life?
It was definitely a weird stage in my career for sure, because it felt like, I don't want to say like standing still, but it was weird because you weren't really sure what was going to happen. It felt like you're taking every event as it came, because with COVID you never really knew what was going to happen next. So I couldn't play amateur events just because of travel restrictions. A lot of tournaments became domestic, so the LET Access was a really good opportunity for me to compete. And then having that ability to compete on a professional level and, you know, barely just missing out on my first pro win at 14, that was like a big, I guess, realization of like, okay, well, I could be playing on tour, you know, like I could be doing this professionally. And then I got 3 invites on the LET and it was really difficult imagining myself taking a step back towards amateur golf because it did feel like a step back down. So I think a lot of it, I mean, obviously I really enjoyed tour life. I thought it was amazing and just the professionalism required to play on tour is really great, and I thought that was super exciting. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than amateur golf. It just sort of happened, things clicked, and I guess it was a good decision.
Fast forwarding to now and then looking back, the last 6 months have been, I guess, such a whirlwind.
It was a super long season for me, obviously. I wasn't allowed to go to Q school because of age restrictions, so I played on the LET Access as a pro this season, and it was a weird sort of, I don't know, atmosphere for me because I was really enjoying tour life, but then the problem was because I live here in Dubai, which is quite far away, I was struggling coming back and forth, so I was gone for 5 months, which was a long time, and that was difficult for me. But I got to visit some amazing places. I got some real season highlights playing at some amazing courses. They kept adding events, so I kept having to stay longer than I anticipated. And after I won Czech, it was sort of like, okay, well, I've got my card now. It's just how many events am I going to have to play to keep that? So it was like almost felt like we were just going and playing everything as it came, rather than like a very organized schedule, which was very frustrating for all of us. So that's something we're going to handle a little better next season. And then getting to play those Aramco Team Series events and the Saudi International at the start of the year was super fun. And I've learned so much playing those, and competing against such strong fields for me was really cool.
What are your overriding memories from those 2 wins? And I guess how different were they for you?
I mean, Czech was more of a, I don't want to say like a easy stroll, but I guess things were really coming to me a lot easier. You know, I won by 9 shots, so it was never really like a pressurized situation. It was sort of like smooth sailing the entire time. You know, after the first round, that was basically done deal. Whereas in Saudi, I was 3 back going into the final round, so it was never like I was expecting to win. It felt like more of a chase, which I really enjoyed actually. That was a different dynamic. Pressure-wise, obviously it was very different. It was a lot more pressure, but I thought it was super fun. And that's always going to be a key memory for me. You know, it just felt very different and it felt bigger, which it was. But the first win's also something very special.
In Saudi, again, complete career changer.
Yeah, I mean, I made a joke with my dad at the start of the season. I was like, because we obviously with Letas, we played so many events. We knew Saudi was going to be my last event in the season, so I was like, imagine if I play Saudi and I win it. That would be an absolute waste, because that would mean I've been here on Letas all season for nothing. And we laughed about it, and then I did it, and I was like, okay, great. But I think like playing Letas was part of the reason that I was able to win, because I think it sort of taught me how to deal with being chased. Because I think a lot in the past, I've always sort of been the youngest in the category doing things. So I've always had to chase others or aspire to do it one day. So for me to actually be in that position of leading after, I think 9 or something, I was sort of playing with leading. So it was very pressurized, but I think Claytas sort of taught me how to deal with that.
And obviously you've got Golf Saudi as a sponsor. How great have they been for you?
They're amazing, and I think the things they're doing for women's golf is so incredible. The Saudi International, which for next year has just been announced for a $5 million purse, which is the first time in history it's been equal to the men's event, which is absolutely insane. Just, it's so incredibly amazing to see that they're actually out here giving us female players a platform to perform on, and then obviously giving us the financial aid to do that as well, because there's so many amazing talents on the tour, and just being able to showcase that a little bit more is something really special.
Do you see yourself as a goal setter?
I mean, a lot of that is just like little goals, I guess. We've said just because I've got my GCSEs next year, it's going to be super difficult to like, I don't know, highball it. Like, I don't want to be like, okay, well, I want to be top like 25 in the world next year, because it's not gonna, realistically speaking, it's just not gonna happen. Both like time-wise and just exactly what events I'm gonna be playing and where. So it's gonna be super difficult trying to balance those two, but I'm just gonna take every event as it comes. We've said just top 100 in the world as the goal for next season, and then just take every tournament as it comes. You know, I've got a saying, and I think that's run in my family for quite a bit now. It's just like, what happened yesterday doesn't affect tomorrow, and it's very like that on the golf course, because, you know, I won my last event, but, you know, I could have an awful week first week I come back. I could also win again. Like, there's no guarantees just because it happened today or yesterday, so I'm just taking everything as it comes and focusing on what I can control.
How special is it to be associated with Jumeirah Golf Estates?
I mean, one of my favorite courses is Earth Course. Like, every time I come back, I'm like, oh, Dad, like, let me get on the course again, because I've missed it every time I travel. But I mean, facilities are great, and the people here are so sweet, and it's very comfortable, and it's like a second home from, well, my bed, I guess. But no, it's really great here. I love it. And, you know, at the end of the day, you mean, of course, my career is a big thing for me, but also just expanding the game of golf, getting more kids into it, seeing other people love it as much as you do is super special. And to have Tommy and, you know, the DP World sort of create an academy for that to try and push that is really great.